Gotta get in it. Hey, sorry for our late start and sorry for my voice. It's not all the way back after losing it this week.
Busy day today.
You're not in the frame.
Am I in it?
You're scooting out there.
There. Okay.
All right. So another week of St. Pat's movies. They weren't bad this week, were they?
They weren't bad, and I was kind of really entertained by one of them left a mark on me, and it was a positive one. So we'll talk about that one soon.
Okay, so the first one that we are going to talk about is The Quiet Man from 1952. This is a John Wayne movie, which I think I've seen a few John Wayne movies.
I have not.
I've
only seen movie clips.
Yeah, and I had not heard of this one, and it was recommended to us. I forget who recommended it to us, but someone did, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. It was good.
It was really interesting to see because I have only heard about him in westerns, and while this does take place in a rural western community, he wasn't the.
It took place in an Ireland community.
Oh, okay. There you go. See?
So he was
West is relative.
He was from New York. Well, he was originally from Ireland, moved to New York because he was a boxer. And he was in a fight that his opponent ended up dying. So he took that really, really hard. He felt like he went a little too far in his fighting where he should have stopped maybe a punch earlier or whatever. And so even though it was an accidental death, he was not convicted for anything. He felt like he could not fight again. But he loved the sport of fighting. So he moved back to Ireland just to kind of dig up his roots and, go back to his family estate. And he found that there was something about there were others that were living on his land, so he had to chase them off. And then he meets this girl and he falls in love with her. They get married. And so the tradition there is that he falls in love with her. They get married. And so the tradition there is that the father or the living family member gives what do they call it? A dowry. Of like $300 or something like that. I think it was. It wasn't like it was a huge amount of money, but
this is a long time ago also. So
yeah.
Money went a little further.
And it was her brother, and he refused to give the money. So it ended up that John Wayne and the brother got in a brawl. And the brother said, "I'm not giving you the dowry. You're going to have to fight for it." Because everybody in that town wanted to see him fight because they loved watching his fights.
I think the movie was titled as such because he really was just trying to stay away from conflict. Right?
He was just trying to live his life, a normal guy, and they just wouldn't let it happen. And so he did end up fighting the brother and knocked him out in the end. Didn't kill him, of course, but kind of knocked him. But then they kind of had this understanding. The brother did end up paying the money then, and they threw the money into a grinder.
Oh.
They didn't even keep it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because it really wasn't about the money. It was about each of them doing what was right.
Yep.
So it was a fun watch. I enjoyed it. I liked watching it.
So it was cool to see John Wayne in this film, and wasn't what I expected. Maybe his other movies are a little bit different, but this one was entertaining.
I like the over dramatized romantic scenes from the 50s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are so much fun to watch.
Yeah, the acting style is definitely different.
Yeah.
Than now. I don't know. Perhaps it's more like a play. It almost is kind of between the style of a play and Hollywood. Kind of an in between.
Yeah. I thought it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it. I would probably give it a 7.5.
I would give it a 7 as well.
All right, there you have it. That's A Quiet Man from 1952, a good old John Wayne classic. All right, and then the next one we have is a Disney movie called The Luck of the Irish. This one was from 2001. It was interesting.
This is weird. Did you say this was Disney?
It's Disney. It was on Disney Channel.
Oh, that makes sense. That's why it was so bad. It was the weirdest movie.
It was weird. It was weird. It was about this boy who had the best luck ever until he started questioning his heritage. Then he started having all this bad luck.
What's my heritage?
So his mom never really, I mean, they were having a heritage day at school, and that's the reason he brought it up. Otherwise, he didn't really care about it. But
he just was not aware of his heritage.
And he found out his mom was Irish. But he found out because she shrunk to the size of a thumb.
It's got the brain the size of a peanut.
And it was just strange. I find out he had this amulet that kept the family normal. Otherwise, they're tiny.
Like a leprechaun.
Like a leprechaun. Yeah, I guess that's what they were, is little leprechauns.
That, right?
I don't know. It was really... And then he ended up, there was these bad leprechauns, and I don't know, they came after the boy, and
his transformation to a leprechaun was really strange.
Yeah, he just started, his ears changed shape, and he got a little bit shorter, and because he was only half, I guess.
Think Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox, but it was weird.
Yeah, it was weird, for sure. For sure weird.
Disney weird.
I don't know what else to say about this one, you guys. In the end, they ended up beating the bad leprechauns, but...
I know what to say. Don't say it.
Yeah, it maybe wasn't very good. I would probably give it a 3.
I gave it a 2.
There you have it.
Not sure why I'm not giving it a 1.
The Luck of the Irish from Disney, 2001. See it at your own.
What a lame title.
Well, yeah.
That's just a cliche.
Yeah, it matches the movie. Then the next one is Belfast from 2021. I liked this one. I thought it was good. It was basically about the Civil War in Ireland between the Catholics and the Protestants.
This was interesting.
That happened in the 1960s. Yeah. So it was from this 9-year-old boy's perspective. So I didn't really know much about that history. So since then, I kind of looked it up a little bit, and it's really interesting how they feuded. The Protestants basically rioted this Catholic community, and
the lengths
came at them, like burned cars and just all out riot.
All because of their convictions. Because they were doing the right thing.
Following Catholic belief versus allowing the freedom of religion, which I am all for the freedom of religion, but there's a right way and a wrong way to go about getting it. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's going to get them to the other side when you're...
Yeah, I don't think that rioting and hurting other people is going to get it done necessarily. And this, especially in this instance, the way they went about it, it just seemed like they were going about it in anger versus... I don't know. I mean, they were fighting the wrong... It seemed like they were fighting the wrong people. Like they were fighting the actual people who don't really have the sway with how the government runs things. I guess they should have more fought the government. I guess is where I'm going with that. I don't know. Like made a change within government versus just go out in the street and cause trouble.
Yeah.
They were just looting and breaking into... I don't condone any of that. I mean, there's a time and a place for riots. So there's a time and a place for standing up for what's right. But breaking into stores and restaurants and stealing things, there's never a time and a place for that.
They weren't against hurting folks either, right?
Right.
They didn't really care about the consequence.
Yeah, and I mean they were grabbing kids and telling them you're going to be on our side, you're going to fight with us, and the kid's like, "Well, dude, I am a Protestant, but this is not the right way to do things."
Yeah.
And so the kid, at 9 years old was kind of torn because he had friends who were Catholic and he was Protestant, but he and his family didn't agree with the way that the Protestant rebellion was going about things. So it was just it was interesting to see a 9-year-old's perspective on kind of the religion and the politics that were going on around him, and
Yeah.
kind of how he had a sense of knowing what was right and wrong, and knowing, hey, this just doesn't seem right. I get what you're doing and I get the idea of this, but it just doesn't seem right.
The innocence of a kid will see those kinds of things.
Yeah. And for him, his dad worked in England, so his dad wasn't even there to help the family when all of this stuff was going on their street. So that was even harder on the boy, not knowing, if they were going to be hurt by the time their dad got back home. The dad ended up moving the whole family in the midst of the Civil War, moving the whole family to England with him. So they had to leave Belfast and leave the only home they ever knew because of this. So the boy, it kind of shows the boy's emotions with having to leave grandma and having to leave this girl that he was interested in and having to leave his friends and just saying goodbye to everything he knew and starting all over at 9 years old. And that's hard for a kid. That really is hard for a kid to have to deal with that.
And so the end of this movie kind of gave the message. It was, is tribute the right word, or homage?
Yeah, to all of those who stayed, all of those who left, all of those who weren't sure what to do, all of those who were part of it. So they kind of were hitting all the categories that this was a tough deal.
They
this was a
recognized
tough
that the conflict
situation. The conflict and the issues behind it all was just tough for everyone involved on both sides. And so many people got either emotionally or physically hurt in this situation that never should have happened. Really, it should have been a better solution put forward.
So and so that highlights something that everybody ought to know, that history is a good teacher.
And y'all learn from history. If you do not learn from history, history will repeat itself.
And if you erase history, you're going to make
right.
That same
you don't
mistake
teach
again.
History to the kids; they will never learn from it, and it will repeat. It'll go in this cycle of auto repeat.
Yeah.
We had a Civil War too, y'all. So if we don't keep things real and teach these kids what it was about, we're going to see another one.
Yep.
So let's not go there. All right. That was my political soapbox for the day. Moving on. So what would you give Belfast? I would give it a 9. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. I liked the it wasn't really documentary. It was more, though it was.
The way Schindler's List was portrayed was not a documentary,
but it
talked about the history.
So I give it a 9. I give Belfast a 9.
I'd probably give it an 8, and if I gave it another chance, I might give it a higher rating.
He was kind of doing other things.
I was baking many goods, and that's okay.
All right, and the next one, Older Than Ireland from 2015.
Oh, I missed this one.
This was recommended on a Reddit search that I did on Irish movies. It was okay. To be honest, with me being sick, I couldn't hear very well. And they had interviewed like 100-year-old Irish people. So they were all older. So they kind of, when they talked already, and they had the Irish accent. So I really tried to read their lips, but they didn't really move their lips very well. And then the Irish accent, and then my ears being clogged. So I didn't hear everything that was said.
It's like now
it was a documentary of kind of the story of these people's lives and how hard, or for some of them easy, it was to grow up in Ireland and to live in Ireland. And some of them did talk about the Civil War and how that was difficult for them, and others did not talk about it. They talked about living in the prairies with the sheep and the other things. So I think it was 10.
Sheep?
So these were all 100-year-old.
Wow.
So they were 100 years old, and it talked about their life. I guess it was 30 Irish. Okay, so 30 100-year-olds in Ireland. So I don't know that I comprehended that there was 30, as they all blended together to me. And I didn't hear all that they were saying, but it was interesting to kind of hear from them and try to, I don't know.
3,000.
I don't know if I would watch it again, though, when my hearing is better. I don't think it entertains me that much.
Some more interview style kind of movie.
Yeah. I mean, if you like that kind of thing, interview style, and you want to hear some of that, I think it's amazing that they found 30, 100-year-old people
That is really amazing.
that they could interview about this. I mean, that is pretty awesome. And they're cute. They were cute. And some of them were just so happy. And then you see the grumpy ones. And it's like,
So 31, at least 100-year-olds.
at least 100-year-olds.
3,000 years worth of life experience.
3,000 years worth of life experience in this movie. So if you like
crazy.
documentaries, you like kind of history brought to life right in front of you, this would be your kind of movie. Older Than Ireland, 2015. Rating it, I don't know. It's really hard for me to rate documentary style movies because I mean they are what they are, and they're just giving history and facts.
I guess
so
the documentary presented, did it evoke some kind of emotion in you? Was it informative?
Like I said, I didn't really hear half of what was said.
So a 9.
So probably a 5 or 6 if we're going that route.
Yeah.
If I was 100% well and was really paying attention, it might be higher.
Okay.
So give it a shot if you like that style of movie. All right.
You probably get to hear a lot of Irish accent too.
Yeah, it was a lot of Irish accent. So if you're going for that, this is your movie.
What are you talking about?
It wasn't from 2020. This was recommended to us also. Again, I forget who. It's been a long week, and I'm finally starting to feel human again. Woo-hoo. So I don't remember all of those details, but you can go ahead and start highlighting this one. Wild Mountain Thyme, 2020.
Okay, so there are 2 neighbors. We are in rural Ireland, and they are considering selling their farm. And so the guy's cousin who lives in the United States was going to come over and have a look at the property. And so what you get from the beginning of the movie is that the girl, she's a girl at that time, likes this boy, and they, as adults, they are neighbors throughout that whole time, and she's always liked him and was never sure how to tell him. And he actually liked another local who maybe a third of the movie, you find out that it just wasn't going to work. And so, and she is just trying her hardest to capture his heart. And the way she goes about it, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's one of the best types of chemistry I've seen between an actor and an actress when it comes to romance. It's
got positive and negative chemistry, but it works for them.
Yeah, it's quirky. It's good writing, and it's cute. It's great.
That's tough to say these days. Good writing. We were just talking about that. It seems like people are not creative anymore. I think with the invention of all this technology that people can just search for anything that they want to see or have. There's no dreaming things up anymore. There's no more imagination. There's no, okay, well, you're reading about this. Well, then your mind has to paint that picture. There's none of that anymore. Everybody just Googles it. Our kids, if we ask them, what is this? Oh, Google. What? It's just instantly pulled up on Google. Like they don't have to have any sort of imagination. So you can see that in the playwriting.
I think it could be a bad idea from originality standpoint. So even, when we were sitting in a restaurant tonight, the Grammarly ad came on, and even they're implementing AI also.
Yeah.
So it's just going to write your paper for you.
It's sad. It's really sad. And you can see it in movies. You can see it in the content of movies now that are coming out. And
even before AI, you can see how terrible Star Wars was.
Yeah, things are definitely going Star Wars. Things are definitely going downhill in screenwriting for sure. But this one was good.
It was really good, and I love the ending, and it's just a fun movie. Maybe the pace is a little bit slow, but it is well worth it.
Some parts of it are slow, but I think it needs it to set the scene, to set the story.
So we appreciate the recommendation.
So what would you rate it?
I give it an 8.
I agree. I agree. It's a good one. A good love story. And it's a love story that he wasn't cringe about, right?
Yeah,
He
I
thought it
was.
was
It
okay.
got my attention. And now in the beginning, because I was tired, I was kind of dozing off, and then he said, "Are you falling asleep?" And then from that point on,
He was awake and I was falling asleep.
when I was starting to pay attention to the movie, I thought, "Oh, this is good. It's
Okay, and
really
then the
funny."
last one we're going to talk about is Irish Wish from 2024. This is a Lindsay Lohan one,
The
and
Parent Trap girl.
yeah, but he didn't even recognize her. She
Yeah,
come
I
on, and he's
didn't.
like, "Who is that?" I said, "That's Lindsay Lohan." No, it's not.
The thumbnail reminded me of the redhead from that '70s show.
Yeah, no, definitely Lindsay Lohan.
What's her name?
So this one was kind of about she is an editor, so she edits books. So there was this author that she books, but in the meantime, she ended up rewriting half of the book because the talent of his just wasn't there. And so when she rewrote the book, it became a bestseller. She thought he would fall in love with her, but instead he fell in love with
The
the
other
illustrator.
girl.
And so they go to Ireland for his wedding with the illustrator, Asian girl. And she goes out to this, I don't know, patch of green. I mean, it was beautiful. Like, see, she could overlook the Irish hills, and she goes and she sits there and makes a wish.
Oops.
Well, then there was a wish fairy or a wish, whatever, leprechaun or something that was there.
It was a serial guy.
And she kind of granted her wish. So she grants wishes, but she gives you what you need, not necessarily what you ask for.
So this is
So
like
it's kind of
Bedazzled.
a sort of like a bedazzled, but not
You
quite
leave
to that
out-
extreme.
Leave out some details.
So she ends up, I'm not going to give all of it because it's cute and I think you should watch it, but she ends up realizing that what she wanted was not necessarily what was best for her. So there was a love for her, but it wasn't necessarily the love she thought it was going to be. So she ended up trying to find this love leprechaun or wish leprechaun and having her reverse the wish because she says, "No, this is not what I want. This is not what I want. Things need to go back to the way that they were." So she did end up getting her wish reversed, and things happened and played out the way that they were supposed to. So,
that reminds me of
you have to watch it to find
13,
out all of the details.
13 going on 30.
Yeah, similar to 13 going on 30.
She was able to go backwards.
In Ireland with different people.
So
yeah, basically not an original idea.
It's exactly what it's about.
Yeah. But it was cute, and I liked Lindsay Lohan. The acting was cute. Was it perfect? No, but it was cute, and it was fun, and it was a nice little romance to watch. I enjoyed it.
All growed up and all from The Parent Trap.
I would probably rate it a 7.
Cool. I didn't see enough of it. I think I was absent. But I think she was in another movie that involved skiing, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's been in a few.
So that one was good.
Hallmarky kind of love movies. One. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's in a few good ones. Anyway, so I started watching another one with Lindsay Lohan, and I didn't finish it, so we'll review that one next week. But
I beg your pardon.
That's what we have for you. So we had, 6 movies for you guys to check out this week and see if you want to watch them or not.
Lucky number 6.
So check us out on Tuesday. I really don't know what we're going to review yet on Tuesday. We have to figure that out. And then
I have to get my computer back too.
Yeah, he left his laptop at a friend's house, which has all of our goods
everything.
On it. So Friday Faves on Friday, and then of course catch us again next Sunday at 9:30. Tell your friends.
See you
Subscribe.
Next time.
Bye.
Smash the like button and end of story.
Okay, now I can go like